All right, Warriors Nation, let's talk. That second showdown against the Lakers, man, it left a sour taste. There was energy, there was hustle, but there was also this feeling that the team just couldn't tap into their full potential. You ever watch a game and just know they had what it takes, but for some reason, it didn't come together? That was this one. And honestly, it's frustrating. Not just because it's a loss, but because of how avoidable it felt. They had the momentum building up. They had a real shot at taking it home. And then it just fell apart. Now I get it. It's preseason, and not everyone was on the floor. But even in games like these, you want to see flashes of championship intent. And we didn't get enough of that. Let's start with Quinton Post. Yeah, he had some solid stats. Hit a few threes. Might have been 3, might have been 4. But here's the thing. That was all he did. The man's a legit 7-footer, and all his damage came from behind the arc. That's a red flag. Sure, in today's NBA, bigs need to stretch the floor. I'm all for a center who can space the defense and open up driving lanes for guys like Draymond, Kuminga, or even Jimmy when he's attacking downhill. But when that's all you bring to the table, that's not enough. You got to own the paint, at least a little. You got to bang bodies down low, grab those tough boards, be a presence under the rim. And Quinton just wasn't that. That kind of performance might be fine against some fringe competition, but when you're facing the league's elite bigs, that's where the cracks show. And DeAndre Ayton exposed them. Ayton had himself a day. Straight up, had his way with Quinton. And that's the concern here. Because look, if Quinton Post is struggling to contain Ayton in preseason, what's going to happen when the Warriors run into guys like Anthony Davis, Nikola Jokic, Rudy Gobert, or even someone like Alperen Sengun or Isaiah Hartenstein? These are the matchups that make or break playoff series. And if we don't have someone who can hold their ground in the post, that's a problem. That's why, even now, there's still a case for using that trade exception. Whether it's bringing in a vet like Andre Drummond or picking up someone like Alex Len once he's waived, it doesn't matter who, as long as they're a physical, reliable big body who can come in and shore up the interior. It's not even about replacing Quinton. It's about giving this rotation some backbone. A Horford, a Draymond, even Quinton himself, they all bring different things to the table, but sometimes you need that old-school anchor. Someone who won't get pushed around. Someone who can give you those gritty rebounds and body up a dominant big when it matters most. You need a rotation that can adapt depending on the matchup. That's what real contenders do. Now, speaking of veterans holding it down, let's talk about Draymond Green. Because if there was one guy who brought that edge in this game, it was him. No Steph, no Jimmy, no Al Horford. It was Draymond out there running with the bench mob. And yeah, sure, stat sheet wasn't anything flashy. We're talking what? 2 points, 3 boards, 3 assists, a real triple single. But if you watch the game, you know the numbers don't tell the story. Draymond was orchestrating. He was directing traffic, calling out switches, pointing guys to their spots. He was engaged on both ends, playing that quarterback role on defense, and keeping the offense flowing on the other side. That's the stuff that doesn't show up in the box score. That's leadership. That's culture. That's a guy who understands what it takes to win and who's still out there laying the foundation, even when the stars are resting. And that's why I still believe Draymond has a massive role to play this season. But let's be honest too, we all know how his story might end. A final season in Detroit, calling it a career with the Pistons? It's a real possibility. And honestly, it'd be fitting. A full circle moment for a guy who's been the glue of this dynasty. But until that day comes, he's still got work to do in Golden State. And games like this show exactly why he's still vital to this team. Now let's shift gears to a name that's been heating up lately, Brandon Podziemski. Pods. Look, I've been hard on the kid before. I didn't think he had a great postseason. I thought maybe he was trade bait this summer. But man, did he prove me wrong. 23 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds. That's not just solid. That's impactful. That's a player making the most of his minutes. And it wasn't just the numbers. It was how he got them, cutting at the right time, reading the defense, hitting open spots, working off Draymond's cues, and finding ways to contribute without forcing anything. That's high IQ basketball. He looked confident. He looked poised. And honestly, he looked like someone who belongs. And that matters, especially in a year where the Warriors need someone from the younger core to take a leap. Pod showed that he can be more than just a bench shooter. If he keeps this up, he could very well carve out that six-man role. Maybe even more if the pieces fall the right way. The kid just looks like he gets it. And if he keeps growing, we might be looking at a long-term piece for the franchise. The kind of guy you don't trade away for a veteran rental. And that's a shift from where I stood just weeks ago. Now, with all that said, let's not pretend like everything was sunshine. Because while Pod stepped up, guys like Jonathan Kuminga, disappointing. He had moments, sure. A few strong drives, a couple of stops on defense. But overall, with the spotlight on him, with the chance to step up in a game where the stars were resting, he didn't deliver the way he should have. And the Warriors need him to take that next step, not just be a role player, not just flash every few games. They need consistency. That's the only way he's going to earn serious minutes when a rotation tightens up. And then you've got the rest of the squad. Buddy Hield had his moments. Pat Spencer was serviceable. Gary Payton, too, brought his usual defensive intensity. But again, we're talking about role guys. You're not building your season around them. You're not relying on them to swing games against top-tier teams. These are the pieces that support your stars. And when those stars are out, like they were in this game, it becomes painfully obvious where the cracks are. But here's the deal. It's preseason. It's not about going undefeated. It's about seeing who's ready, who's not, and who needs more reps. And if there's one thing that this game made clear, it's that the Warriors still have work to do. There's talent here, no doubt. But cohesion, chemistry, that championship edge, it's not quite there yet. And it needs to be fast. Because this isn't a rebuilding year. This isn't a let's develop the youth and see what happens type of season. This is the last dance. This is a win-now squad try to squeeze every last drop out of the Steph, Draymond, and Jimmy window. There's no time for long-term experiments. Every game matters. Every rep counts. And while these preseason matchups may not affect the standings, they absolutely impact momentum. You want to come into the regular season hot, not figuring things out on the fly. Imagine opening the season on a 5-game win streak. Suddenly you're rolling. Confidence is high. The rotations are clicking. And maybe, just maybe, you catch the league sleeping and build a nice cushion in the standings. That starts now. That starts in games like this. Games where the effort has to match the standard, even when the stakes are low. Because those habits, they carry over. So while it's easy to brush off a preseason loss and say, oh, Steph didn't play, Jimmy sat out, Horford was missing, that can't be the mentality inside the locker room. Championship teams don't wait for things to be perfect. They find ways to win even when it's messy, even when the stars are in street clothes, even when the rotation feels like a G League showcase. That's where identity is built. That's where culture gets tested. And right now, the Warriors have to decide what kind of team they're going to be from day one. Look at Draymond's body language during the game. He wasn't just going through the motions. He was barking out coverages, clapping for guys when they made the right read, pulling younger players aside during stoppages to point things out. That's leadership. That's a guy who understands that these games aren't throwaways. They're building blocks. And when you've got a core that's accomplished as much as this one has, you need that mindset to trickle down into the younger guys. Because those guys, Pods, Kuminga, Quinton Post, even someone like Tracy Jackson-Davis, they're the ones who will be leaned on more and more as the season progresses. If they don't get those habits right now, when they go into, speaking of Tracy, let's not overlook his performance. He cracked double digits again and continues to show flashes of being a real contributor. He plays hard, he finishes well around the rim, and you can tell he's picking up the defensive schemes little by little. But the thing I like most about him, he plays like he has something to prove. Every possession, every loose ball, he's out there grinding. That's the kind of energy that wins games in February and March, when the grind of the season wears most teams down. He's not perfect, far from it, but there's something there. And if the Warriors can keep developing him the right way, he might just turn into a key rotational piece. But again, development only takes you so far if it's not accompanied by wins. That's what's so tricky about these in-between seasons, where you've got one foot in the past, trying to maximize a legendary core, and one foot in the future, hoping the next wave is ready to take over. The Warriors don't have the luxury of time. Every game counts. Every decision matters. And if you're giving out minutes just to be nice or to see what a guy's got, you're going to lose games you shouldn't. And in a stacked Western Conference, that margin for error is razor thin. Look at teams like the Nuggets, the Lakers, the Clippers, even a young group like the Thunder. They're hungry, they're deep, and they're not going to sit around waiting for Golden State to figure it out. They're coming full speed right from a tip-off of Game 1. That's why the Warriors need to treat the preseason like the beginning of their playoff push, not just as a warm-up. Every possession is a chance to establish rhythm. Every quarter is a chance to build chemistry. And every player who steps on the court has to understand what's at stake. If you're not helping this team win now, you're either getting moved or buried in the rotation. That's just the reality. And honestly, it's not harsh, it's necessary. You've got Steph Curry, one of the greatest to ever do it, still playing at an elite level. You've got Draymond Green, still anchoring your defense. You've got Jimmy, a guy who brings toughness and experience to any lineup. These aren't guys you waste time with. You build around them. You maximize their window. And if that means cutting bait on players who aren't ready or swinging a trade that shortens your future timeline to win now, then you do it. Because once this window closes, it's gone. And who knows when it'll open again. The good news is that the pieces are there. Pods is showing real development. Tracy is trending in the right direction. Even Quinton Post, for all his flaws in the paint, brings a shooting element that stretches defenses and creates spacing. And guys like Buddy Hield, Gary Payton II, and Pat Spencer, they all have roles to play. But the challenge now is fitting those pieces together in a way that actually wins basketball games. You can have all the talent in the world, but if it doesn't mesh, it's just names on a roster. And that's why Steve Kerr and the coaching staff are under pressure too. Not just to manage minutes, not just to keep the locker room happy, but to make real decisions. Who's in the rotation? Who gets those late fourth-quarter minutes when the game's on the line? Who do you trust on defense? Who do you run your offense through when Steph's getting double-teamed? These are questions that need answers now, not in December. The longer you take to figure it out, the more you fall behind in the standings. And once you're playing catch-up in the West, it's hard to make ground. Every team is too good, too deep, and too locked in. Before we continue, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Dubs updates. Let's keep going. Whispers are swirling around the Golden State Warriors headquarters as tension reportedly escalates between head coach Steve Kerr and the team's front office. Sources close to the organization claim that the once solid relationship between Kerr and management is now on shaky ground, with an internal rift threatening to spill into the public eye. The usually composed and media-savvy Kerr, who has guided the Warriors to multiple championships, is said to be at odds with the team's leadership over strategic decisions and the club's long. Insiders hint that disagreements have been simmering for months, involving roster moves, player usage, and the overall vision for the team. While Kerr has long been celebrated for his innovative approach and player-first mentality, some in the front office are reportedly pushing for a different trajectory, one that could clash with the coach's philosophy. According to whispers circulating within NBA circles, meetings between Kerr and executives have grown tense, with both sides allegedly struggling to find common ground. The atmosphere is reportedly affecting locker room dynamics as well, though players have remained tight-lipped amid growing speculation. While the Warriors' core remains committed on the court, the unease behind the scenes is fueling rumors of a potential split. Some analysts suggest that if the tension continues, the franchise could face a major shakeup before the season's end, with Kerr's future hanging in the balance. Despite the buzz, no official statements have been made by either Kerr or the organization, leaving fans and commentators to read between the lines. Social media chatter and insider posts have only added fuel to the fire, with speculation intensifying over how this internal discord might impact the team's performance in the highly competitive Western Conference. For now, the Warriors continue to train and compete, but the murmurs suggest that a dramatic development may be looming, one that could redefine the relationship between one of the NBA's most respected coaches and the organization he has helped elevate to championship glory. The coming weeks will be crucial. Whether this is a temporary rough patch or the beginning of a full-blown split remains unclear, but the basketball world is watching closely, eager for any sign of resolution or confirmation that the Warriors are on the brink of a major internal shakeup. Stay updated exclusively with the latest Dub Nation news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep getting daily updates on the Warriors. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. Your input is essential for the Dubs community. Stay tuned for the next video.